Hello and welcome to this episode of Filmi Ladies. I am Pitu, this is Beth, and today we're going to talk about Sharmila Tagore as part of our Women Superstar series. What to say about Sharmila Tagore? She's amazing. She's one of the most versatile actresses that we've ever seen. She started working in the film industry at age 14 with The World of Apu, her first film, which was by Satyajit Ray. And she literally just came out with another movie, which is called Gulmohar. It's on streaming, so I haven't seen it yet. But the woman has been acting for a long time. She's done a lot of Bengali films, so many Ray films, which is fabulous. She's also done a lot of Hindi films. For the purposes of this episode, I rewatched Devi, which is one of my favorite Ray films, and I also rewatched An Evening in Paris, which is also one of my favorite films. And even though I made a grand declaration to Beth that I would not watch both films on the same day because they're like so different from each other, I did exactly that. And I enjoyed it. I thought my brains were going to get scrambled, but it was fine. It was fine. Beth, I think, just rewatched. I think Beth is just going to talk about like the 1 gazillion Sharmila Tagore films that she's seen instead of just focusing on one or two. But anyway, we're very excited to talk about Sharmila today. So, Beth, I wanted to start by asking you. I've often felt that Sharmila just has not gotten her due as an actress, and a lot of people just sort of think of her as sort of like a glamour girl or just as like a very beautiful heroine. What do you think? Because I feel like it's an unfair thing to just kind of like disregard her solid acting skills.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think solid is a great word, and particularly in the Bengali films that I've seen, she's very good.
Mm-hmm.
I like her in all the Hindi films I've seen her in as well. I do feel like she chose some roles that are not very substantial. Same is true of most women, because that is what they are offered, because that's what is written for them, for women in general. So like, I don't fault her for that really. And some of her choices are A+++, brilliant. So,
Yeah.
and I'd like to actually talk about that a little bit at some point, but so I think that I would probably agree with that. I've actually never really I feel like not a whole lot of people talk about her anymore.
Right.
I know our friends at Khandan did her as in a sort of an auxiliary Khan, since she has married into a Khan family.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't feel like even in blogging days, there were people who were kind of really into her beyond her amazing style that she gets to wear in a lot of films. And she is, super stylish in a lot of films, really, maybe more than anyone else. I would say hers are wardrobes I wish I could carry off and had a reason to wear. But yeah, I suspect that I would agree with that if I thought about it really hard. And my gut is that, yes, I agree. She is underrated as an actor.
Yeah, I feel like in the blogging days, also, like you said, like not very many blogs talked about her. But for example, if you looked on Tumblr, back then she was so popular on Tumblr because everyone used to fixate on like her eye makeup and her beehives, like her bouffants, her chiffon saris, and just, her general coquetry and things like that. But Tumblr wasn't a place where you talked about how great someone's acting was. You just like, fixated on their wardrobe. So I feel like she sort of got categorized as this like very pretty person, a la Saira Banu, someone like that. Except with Saira Banu, there wasn't a lot of acting that you could talk about anyway. Um, but with Sharmila, you could, and people just chose not to talk about it. So speaking of Sharmila, since you've seen 1 bajillion movies of hers, which ones stand out to you as the ones where you just thought that her acting was like amazing?
This will surprise no one. Nayak, Ray's Nayak, obviously
Duh.
astounding. Upper Sunsur, which she's not in very much, obviously, but she is wonderful. The film that I did actually kind of eventually, within the last 15 minutes, pick one film that I really want to focus on, which is called Barnali, which is another Bengali film.
Okay.
I was looking at the things I've seen from her from Hindi films. I think she's great in Chupki Chupki.
Yeah.
I think she's really good in Waqt.
Mhm.
And I love her in Agale Lagja.
I don't know if I've seen Agale Lagja. Have I
Oh, with
seen Agale
Shashi
Lagja?
and the little kid and the
The
roller
crippled kid?
skates. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it, but a really long time ago, and I don't
Okay.
remember it very well.
That's
I kind of
another
know the songs from it.
great song. That's kind of another
Yeah.
favorite of mine. And the
Okay.
character she has in that is probably fairly typical for her, I would guess. Um, and I've seen her in, a couple of later films as well, like the Bengali Shubho Mahurat, sorry for my
Okay.
pronunciation, which is the mirror cracked from side to side.
Mm.
Um, it is fantastic. And of course, Devi,
Yeah.
like you could retire after that and be like, I'm very proud of my work. I'm done.
So it was really interesting because, like, the second I asked you what your favorite movies were, I was like thinking to myself, oh shit, I should have said not Ray, not Ray,
Oh,
like
yeah.
non-Ray films, because it's like the minute you say like Sharmila Tagore, it's like all the Ray films are going to come to the forefront, right? Which is true for me also. I mean, how can you not love her in Ray? How can you not love her in, love her in Devi? I mean, but it's really interesting. I was reading an interview of hers and I was reading about how she felt about Ray and why, it's like
Mhm.
she did a few films with him and then afterwards she just made her foray into Hindi cinema instead of just continuing doing films with him. And she said the reason for that, it was a conscious choice, is that she felt if she kept doing cinema with Ray, she would always sort of be under his shadow, and she would never, because it would always be Ray dominating it and she would not have a chance to like really do other things and like break out, which I thought was a very interesting thing to say. Because if I was an actor and I had an opportunity to work with Ray, I don't think I would ever do anything else. I would just be like, keep giving me roles, thank
Right.
you.
That's fine. That's a good shadow to be in.
Yeah, great shadow to be in. But I was like, wow, the guts
Mm.
it takes to be like, yeah, I don't want to be overshadowed by Ray for my whole life. So I'm gonna go do something else and I'm gonna like venture to Hindi cinema. And I think it's also so cool because like if you look at Devi, for instance, she's so young in it and she looks like a baby. And it's like just so naive, so innocent, charming. And then that movie was made in 1960, and then An Evening in Paris, which I saw on the same day, was made in 1967. And it was mind-blowing to me that it was 7 years, just 7 years between these films, because An Evening in Paris is completely different. She's like a complete fashion icon. She's wearing these really skimpy outfits. She has the swimsuit and Asman Se Aaya Farishta. She's worn the sari blouses she became so famous for, like knotted in the back, like very, very skimpy ones. She's, got like the whole coquetry thing happening with like the batting of the eyelashes and the flashing of the dimples and all of that. And I was like, you're the same person I watched this morning in Devi. It's like the amount of cognitive dissonance is bonkers.
And that, she did one of those at 15 and the other at 22, which is
Yeah.
also still not very old.
No, it's insane. Like, what a dream run at
Yeah.
the movies, right? And the funny thing is, like, I feel like it's almost like she peaked a little bit early because she did all these fabulous films and then she became this big hit pair with Rajesh Khanna. And I don't even know how many movies they did together, but apparently they had 7 super hits together.
Wow.
7 super hits, like just gigantic blockbusters that they did together. And I honestly don't like her Rajesh Khanna movies.
I was just about to say, I think I've seen one or two of those.
Oh, she
Like I
cries a
don't,
lot. It's just very
yeah.
tiring. It's like Aradhna and Amar Prem. And it's like, it's so funny. Like when I told my mom, like she wanted to know what episode we were recording today. And I said, we're doing an episode of Sharmila Tagore. And she said, oh my God, are you going to talk about Amar Prem? And I was like, no, all she does is cry. It's so weepy. So like her movies with Rajesh Khanna don't do anything for me. I watch the songs because like the songs are
Sure.
so beautiful and she looks so amazing in them. But the films themselves are very like weepy and there's a lot of tyag happening in them. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want. And then I think again, she started doing like interesting films after that. But it's like her most popular era in Hindi films is actually the most uninteresting to me.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her, so one of the things I was thinking about when I was pulling together the list of what I've seen of her, because I just kept remembering more and more films that I've seen of hers. She has a remarkable run in Bengali with Sumitra Chatterjee. Like they do a bunch
Mhm.
of films together, not all of them Ray, although quite a few. And then she has this amazing run with Shashi Kapoor. So
Yeah.
do I just like her because she's with my two favorite actors? No, but I have, that's the context through which I have seen her up. Like I've landed at those films because of the men, and then
Right.
very happy to see her. But she
Yeah.
is, I actually turned off Aradhana halfway through. I was like, I cannot with this
It's
movie.
just very
But then so for me, her Hindi A+ star is Shashi Kapoor. And I know some people will be like, no, it's Shami Kapoor. I'm like, no, man, that age difference was ugh, to me. Um, so I like her with Shashi. And also they're just so beautiful together. And our friend Carla, who wrote the Filmy Geek blog, we would call it
Mm.
Shasha for Shashi and
Oh gosh.
We're like, it's a Shasha film.
I actually do like her with Shami Kapoor.
Oh, do you?
I do.
I,
But I also just like Shami in general. Like I've always liked him. I love his manic energy. I feel like if I was a film actor, I would probably be Shami Kapoor. I would have delusions of grandeur, right? Like I feel like if I was a male actor, would want to be Irfan Khan, but I wouldn't. I would actually be Shami. I would be dangling in a bathrobe, showing off my thigh from a helicopter, and
that
just doing madness in
that really is
general.
an amazing song.
It is so
I had
fun.
forgotten, I mean, I remember the water skiing, but I had forgotten Shami dangling from a helicopter in a bathrobe. Like, it sounds a little
Like,
scary.
why not? Why not do that?
Why not?
Why
In
not?
Beirut or wherever they are.
Right. And then at the end of it, apparently, so she just said this in an interview that I saw like last week. She was on some show promoting Gulmohar, her latest
Mm.
movie. And she said in that at the end of the song, when Shami kind of like jumps off of the helicopter and lands on the boat, that was completely Shami Kapoor's idea. And it was totally impromptu. She had no idea who was going to do that. And so she was like, completely shocked and terrified, which again, I was like, yeah, but that's again, hashtag just Shami things. Like, why should this surprise us? Nothing with Shami should surprise
And
us.
the way he's
But
like
I do like their pairing.
flopping around on the boat, and you just think like you're gonna fall off and get hit by another power boat. Like,
Common sense, practicality, level-headedness, and Shami Kapoor are two very different things. This is this and this is Shami.
it
It's
would
not,
seem.
you can't blend them, no. But I like them a lot in Kashmir Ki Kali also. Like she's so cute in it. She does not look Kashmiri at all, but I do like them in that. I like them. I also like Shami and Saira together in Jungli. So I think I have a soft spot for Shami and his madness.
Mm,
And so I do. I feel like she balances him out because she's clearly not insane. She's
right.
a very sane person. And so they kind of like look good together. Whereas I think Shasha is sane. Like they're very beautiful, but
People.
they both make sense. So, so do you want to talk about Devi?
Sure. I mean, is there a more powerful film on the dangers of religious
Madness.
it's not quite fanaticism, and it's not just belief.
It's more like
It's something like about the
compulsive
yeah,
behavior,
religious compulsive behavior or
almost like
something.
schizophrenia, almost like
And the
religious schizophrenia.
and the willingness to believe with what would seem to anyone else to be no evidence whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
That film is terrifying, and her face at the end when like her makeup is running and she just goes off, and you're like, oh god. I
And then
mean,
that last shot in the meadow where she just runs up and you're like, where did you go? And then it's like, poof. It's so powerful. And what
oh,
is crazy about Devi? So for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Devi is a Satyajit Ray movie, and she is the Devi in question. It also has what Beth and I consider to be the greatest movie poster of all time. It is
yeah.
truly gorgeous. It is just a work of art as far as graphic design is concerned. And if I'm not mistaken, it was Ray himself who used to design all his movie posters. So in Devi, she just plays this very young, naive, innocent bride, and she lives in a joint family, and her father-in-law, who is like a huge devotee of the goddess Kali, um, has a dream, and for some random reason he believes that his daughter-in-law is an incarnation of the goddess, and then begins this whole descent into madness of everyone. Like there's literally a terrifying shot in that film where there's a sea of people
Mm.
just making the trek, making the pilgrimage to go and meet the Devi because they're convinced that she's gonna bless them and she has to like heal their injured, like sick children and stuff like that. It's truly frightening. And what makes it even more frightening is that she did not ask for any of this. She
Right.
does not want any of this. She is trapped into this kind of like figurehead of divinity, and she can't break out of it. I mean, her husband does try to, tell her in the middle of the night we'll like elope, but she's terrified and she doesn't know how to do that either. And so it's such a terrifying movie, but so well done, and
Mm,
she's so good. You really should watch Devi if you can. I watched it on Einthusen with English subtitles, but it's also available on the Criterion collection.
mhm.
um, what was so funny about Devi also is that it's so relevant even today. It's 2023. Devi was made in um, 1960, and it portrays the time period that it portrays is 1850.
Mhm.
So it's like set in the 1800s or whatever. And just a few days ago, the Dalai Lama announced who's going to be like the next Dalai Lama, and it's like a twin boy, like a Mongolian boy or something, and it's like these two twin boys, and one of them is going to be the next Dalai Lama. And I remember reading that, and I was like, okay, so his childhood is now over because like now he has
Just
to like
make
lead
this
the
over.
Tibetan people in the future. It's crazy, and it's 2023 and it's still happening. We're still taking absolutely normal flesh and blood human beings, whether they're adults, whether they're children, and we're still endowing them with all of these make believe notions and putting the burden of divinity on them as if being human isn't hard enough. So
I love how you phrase that. That film is such a powerful portrayal of what we do specifically to young women in this case. And it's
mhm.
so interesting that this is the thing thrust upon her when we are probably more used to seeing portrayals about when they are forced to be sexual before they're ready, or when they are forced to become a mom or a mother figure, or have massive household chores or financial responsibilities before they're ready, or um certain like appearance based things or whatever. But like to be the burden of divinity is and
Yeah.
it crushes her. It's
You
just
know what's also
so
really
horrid.
funny though? I mean, not funny, but like it made me think of all of those movies about like witch trials, like the
Yeah.
Salem witch trials, like the
Yeah.
Crucible and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And if you think about it, if you take away the god and the demon, devil, whatever, if you take that
Hmm.
like binary thinking away, it's the same thing. You're attributing to women something that they never said they were. Like in the witch trials, you're basically saying to someone, you're a witch because you gave this potion to my wife, and then my wife like mysteriously like miscarried her child, and therefore we're going to kill you now. And here you're saying you're a god because you healed my child, and it's like
Right.
it's the same thing though. Why can't she
Yeah.
just be a normal regular
Right.
person? And I feel like Sharmila does such a good job. She has very very little dialogue in this film. All her acting is just through her eyes and the body language. And there's scenes like you feel so bad for her. She's dressed in all these clothes and this jewelry, and she's wearing like garlands, and she's literally
Mm.
like this. She just looks like
Yeah.
tired and dehydrated.
Oh yeah.
Like somebody give her electrolytes.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Hmm. It's such a powerful film. I've only seen it the once, and I almost don't want to watch it again because it's so harrowing. And also, there's so many of Ray's films, particularly these early ones, where I'm just like, that was perfect. I have nothing, I can't talk about it because it's perfect.
Yeah.
And that's one of them for me.
It's also fairly short. I mean,
It
unless
is.
my copy on Einthusen was like cut or something, it was
I
only
think so.
1 hour and 40 minutes. But like everything
Mm.
that's packed in those 1 hours and 40 minutes, I was like, oh Lord.
And you almost couldn't bear to have it be longer,
No, I don't
right?
want it to be longer.
Yeah.
I do not need more. Also, this is how we know it's the Filmy Ladies vlog podcast, because the other movie that it reminded me of, who do you think I'm going to mention?
Sunny Deal.
No,
No, Dev Anand.
yes.
Here
We
he
should have a
is.
drinking game. Every time we mention Devanand, we have to take a shot. We'd be drunk in no time. It's almost 5 p.m. in California, so it is happy hour, Beth. So the reason I thought of Devanand was because of Guide.
Oh,
Because it's the same thing in that too, right? Like they just decide one day that he's a god man or like a swami or whatever, and then next
right.
thing you know, there's a scene even in Guide where there's just long lines of people just traversing the desert to come find him and to get his blessings. And one of them happens to be Wahida as well. And again, he's trapped in that thing where he can't say that he's human. Like he just can't say
Mm.
that anymore, but he's clearly not human. And I love that scene in Devi also where her husband, like Samitra Chatterjee, actually asks her because he's so horrified. Can you imagine being in Samitra Chatterjee's position? You've gone away to Calcutta to study in college, and your sister-in-law sends you a letter, and she's like, "Your dad has lost his mind. You need to come back because stupid shit is happening." And you come back, and of all the things, you discover
Right.
that your wife has been like become a goddess. And then in a scene he like looks at her and he's like, you don't actually believe you're a goddess, do you? He's almost afraid of what she's gonna say.
Yeah.
Like what if she says, well, yeah, actually I do think I'm a goddess.
That almost makes more sense in a way, right? Because we're so
Right.
used to people having delusions of grandeur and delusions of importance and whatever. It is March 30th. Interesting news has just happened in the United States
Yes.
about such a person. Um, but
Hint, the person is orange.
very orange. um, the and so here we have someone who, and even if some of those people who have delusions of divine power or whatever, even if they are genuinely think they are, and they're not just pretending and running a con, which I think most of them are,
Yeah.
she's not doing any of this. She has no power. And so the
Yeah.
idea of being a goddess yet being powerless at the same time speaks to something very interesting about, I think, particularly about women and maybe even young women, right? Like that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Fascinating. I mean, you would think if you thought someone was divine, you would actually ask them like what they want to do during
How
the
can I
day
serve
and
you?
what they
You know what?
want
I'd
to.
like to just chill. Everyone just chill.
I just want to lie on my bed and watch movies. Do you have a problem with that? Also, I would like some ice cream. Thanks.
Thank you.
This is why I'm not a goddess.
Mm.
Um, what else is it going to say? Yeah, just a very powerful movie and a little
Mhm.
bit scary to watch, but also very relevant, I think. I think everyone should watch Devi at
Oh
least
yeah.
once. It's really
Oh yeah.
good. Um, okay, the other movie that I watched was An Evening in Paris, which I also enjoy. And I had so much fun because I kept taking screenshots of every single outfit that Sharmila Tagore has worn, like every outfit, all her saris, all her jewelry, loved her makeup. Costumes are by Mani Rabadi, by the way, because I was like, wait, is this going to be another Banu Athaiya credit? And it wasn't. It was by Mani Rabadi. And I'm curious to see what other work she has done because her costumes were phenomenal.
They're really,
All these
yeah.
gorgeous saris and her makeup and her bouffant. I have a question about her hair. How? I do not. What
Well, what
is
did
it
they use?
real? Is
So
it a
it's,
wig?
I mean, there must be padding under there, right? I forget the wig terminology for that, but there's got to be like netting or something under that to be
Yeah.
the substructure. I mean,
It's
like
like a construction and
it's
architectural
unbelievably
thing.
huge. Yeah.
And it doesn't budge at
Nope.
all. Like you're dancing, you're cavorting in Paris, you're running around, and it just doesn't budge. And it's like every Sharmila Tagore Hindi movie I've ever seen, like with the exception of movies like, Chupke Chupke or whatever, she always has that massive bouffant. Rakhi always had a massive
Yeah.
bouffant. Asha Parekh had it. Like
Yeah.
all those heroines in the 70s, they all had this ginormous thing on their head. And I was always like, how do you sleep? What is this thing? It looks so uncomfortable. And the crazy thing is like they're dancing. Like I've seen Asha
Yeah.
Parekh songs where she's dancing so vigorously and it
Yeah.
doesn't budge.
Nope.
It's crazy. It is like a work of art, that thing. It's nonsense. Like the amount of hairspray and everything. And probably their actual hair was like slicked back in a tight little ponytail. And then they have this on top. Um,
Huge.
but anyway, so An Evening in Paris was great. It's just like a very fun rom-com comic caper. Shami Kapoor has amazing energy. And this movie is just like it just starts with like bam. It does not take any time getting to the point. It's like you start the movie and it's like there's a song and there's Shami Kapoor in a trench coat and he's doing all the things and he's doing all the facial expressions and he's flailing and he's dancing and he's having fun. And it's like, how much caffeine is this man on? But it's so delightful. And then the credits come and then it's just like boom boom boom, and then she's in the plane and then she lands and she's at the airport and it just takes off. It spends no time at all getting to anything. It's
No.
just very speedy. It's a very speedy movie,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun. And I do love the Shami and Sharmila Tagore chemistry. I just think they look very cute together. And I also have a soft spot for Shami Kapoor because he's so gorgeous. And I always wonder, like, how many different places can he dance in? So in an evening in Paris, yeah, dance floors are for normal people, Beth.
You're right.
Shami Kapoor don't need no dance floor. The
No.
world is his dance floor.
Yes, correct.
So he's dancing in a ski lift in
Yep.
Akele Akele Kahan Ja Rahe Ho. First time ever I think someone has danced in a ski lift. He's dancing on roads and all. That's like normal people. He's dancing out of a helicopter. He's dancing on the boat. He's dancing everywhere. He's dancing on the Eiffel Tower. He has danced in boats before as well. In Kashmir Ki Kali, he's
Yeah.
danced in the snow, in Jungli, in this movie. He's danced in the rain. He just dances. The man just dances, and his dances make no sense, and there is no choreography, but it's so much fun. Shami Kapoor is one of those actors. He just makes me happy.
Aw.
He just makes me happy. I look at him and I'm happy because I know he's having a good time. He's having a great time,
I hope
and
he
I'm
is.
gonna have a good. Oh, I don't think he's faking that. Just the joy, the vivre that the man has. Everything is like more. More is more
He
with
is more is
Shami
more.
Kapoor. And I feel like in the movie, Sharmila is just like having a ball.
Hmm.
She's just smiling and flirting and being cute and sassy. And oh my God, her cabaret numbers.
They're fun.
They're so fun. So for those of you who don't know, Evening in Paris has sort of a double role of Sharmila Tagore. So she is a spoiled brat called Deepa who flies to Paris because, I don't know, spoiled brats fly to Paris all the time, I guess.
Because she wants to fall in love and there's no lovable men. My subtitle
in India.
said there's like no lovers in India. And I put that on Twitter.
She said
and
that,
everyone was like, retweet.
She's like, there are no Indian men do not know how to love. There is no one to love in India, so I'm going to Paris, which was like great logic.
The narrator says it, which is even funnier. So she's sitting there in a plane seat being like eye roll acting to save her life. It's funny.
It's so funny. By the way, I'm going to take screenshots of all your expressions you did. I'm going to make a GIF out of it. Good luck. You shouldn't have done that.
I'm going to turn my camera off now.
I know. So anyway, so then she lands in Paris, and then Shami Kapoor meets her, and then all the hijinks ensue, and we eventually discover that she has a doppelganger, and that doppelganger's name is Rupa, and she's a cabaret dancer, and this gives us the amazing, amazing cabaret number, which is actually my favorite cabaret song of all time. Ooh. Not Pia Tu Ab To Aaja, so I know, thankfully Lancharoni is not here, so she can't beat me, but Zubi Zubi Zalembu is amazing. And like her costumes, she's such a good dancer in these cabaret numbers, Beth. She's so good. Like when she's like snapping her fingers and she's looking at the camera, like she's so phenomenal. And I never thought of Sharmila Tagore as a dancer.
I'm really glad you said that because I only made it kind of halfway through this movie. I have seen it before, but I had no memory of it at all. I don't know. I've seen it.
Did Shami Kapoor exhaust you?
Honestly, I think he kind of did. And like I was getting, she was definitely engaged with what's going on in the film, but yeah. I just was tired watching him. And I was like, what? As a performance, it's one thing, but then if you try to get yourself into the movie, and I was having trouble suspending disbelief, Yeah. I was like, if this guy came up to you on the street, you'd be like, no.
Right.
And I just, it's got a little bit of the stalking equals love formula, which, know, is in many movies. That's not his fault, or even like that's everywhere. But I just wasn't buying it. And I, usually like prawn and an insane wig and like some twins, that's plenty for me for a movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was just tired or what. So I actually got this from the library on DVD because I couldn't find it with subtitles online, but our university library had it on DVD.
Amazing.
So I went over and got it at lunch the other day. And so I do think I'll try to watch it this weekend. I just kind of wasn't feeling it during the weeknight for some reason. But I went to the blog of our friend Greta, Memsab Story blog, who is the biggest Shami Kapoor fan that I know.
Yes.
And she also is underwhelmed by this movie. So I was a little, it's not just me, but again, maybe we both are not Hindi speakers. So like, maybe it's that. but I don't know anyone who loves Shami Kapoor more than she does. She met him before he died.
Yeah.
You know, and she too was kind of like, nah. But that, I mean, so I couldn't screen grab it because I was watching the actual DVD player, not
I
hooked to
took
my
lots of
computer.
screenies.
Um, so but I was sad because the fashions really are just absolutely astounding. There's like a black cocktail dress before she goes out with
Yes.
Ron one evening, and like, you know, again, as I I in particular learn more about saris, I have, you know, there's so many beautiful chiffon, super beaded things that she's wearing, and yeah, just the enormous hair. And I mean, I remember when Khandan talked about her, Asim said something like, you know, I know we have friends who use Sharmila as their like display picture on Twitter and stuff like that. I was like, that
Yeah.
would be me. He's talking
Yeah.
to me because I have a screen grab of her from some movie where she's like going like this
Right.
that I love, or like
Right.
I mean, she makes great faces.
Right.
And I don't know if it's I mean, I can't believe we've talked this long and not said the cat eye to end all cat eyes of makeup. Like,
Amazing. Yes.
I mean, I couldn't do that just if my life depended on it, so I didn't even try. But you know, there's something about how she uses her face, and I think augmented by makeup in a way that that's what makeup is for sometimes. So, like,
Right.
makes great faces, and I can see why she would have been a Tumblr icon back in the
Yeah, such a
day.
Tumblr icon. But yeah, the songs in this are so good.
So
Her
great.
cabaret numbers are good. There's also that other cabaret number, Leja, Leja, Leja Mera Dil. That one is
Mhm.
really amazing. Her costumes are very skimpy
Yes.
in the cabaret numbers, which I love because they're cabaret numbers. But they're really, really good. And it has one of my most favorite songs, like in terms of picturization, which is रात के हम सफर थक के
Mm.
घर को चले. She's wearing a dark blue jantani sari with like a gold necklace. He's wearing like midnight blue. It's dark. It's like it is actually an evening in Paris.
Right, right.
And wherever they've shot it in front of some sort of historic building because they're in front of these like metal gates. And the metal gates are also like midnight blue and they have like a gold
Oh,
copper like finial on top of them and they
ah,
look so good in front of it. Like they're just such a glamorous, gorgeous couple. Um, but yeah, so an evening in Paris is a lot of fun if someone is just looking for like a fun comic caper and like double roll and just great fashions. Just at least watch the songs of an evening in Paris, even if you don't watch the movie itself. But she's just like an immense. She's also, I remember back during the blogging days, a lot of my gay friends loved her because she was kind
mhm.
of like a gay men's icon as well.
Can see
I
that.
think just probably because of her like naughtiness and her mischief and just like that sense of like abandon. I think that's actually why
That's a
Shami
great
and
word.
Sharmila work as a pair for me because they
Mm.
both seem to they do not care a hoot about any sort of social connection. It just seems like you can make them do anything and they're like, sure. So yeah. What other movies of hers do you like?
I mean, I like most everything I've seen her in. But I want to talk about this film from, oh dear goodness me, what year is this film? I'm so sorry. It's the early 1960s, 1963. Apologies.
Okay.
It's called Barnali, which I believe means rainbow.
So it's between Devi and
Yes,
An Evening in Paris. Okay.
this
Is it
too,
black and white?
it is. This is a Bengali film. It is something that I randomly found on YouTube one day when I was early in my sort of Sumitra Chatterjee filmography exploration. They are the lead. It's in it. It takes place in a very short time frame, and the basic story is that Sharmila is the daughter of a teacher, and Sumitra's brother or somebody in his family is getting married. So they've sent him around with the invitation cards, and he gives one
Mm.
to them by accident. But that's their meet cute, is he's gone to their house. And then it turns out he has to go uninvite them, which is horribly awkward, obviously. Um, and she is not only is she a student, she is doing her MA in, I believe, philosophy or literature. I feel like you don't get to see that very often, and it's in Bengali films when you see it, in my experience.
Right.
Let's hear one for the brainy girls. Um, and they just kind of, she's engaged to someone else who turns out to be not great. And I don't want to spoil this because I really think a lot of people have not seen this film, so I
I
won't
haven't.
say much more. I mean, you really liked young Sumitra Chatterjee in our movie the other day, so this would be one I would highly recommend. I've watched this movie at
Okay.
least 5 times. It's a comfort film for me, and it's just beautiful. It has gorgeous music. There's a song where they go on a boat ride on the river at night.
Okay.
It's so pretty, and like she's just kind of like, you see her kind of like dreamily looking into the distance or at the reflections on
Oh,
the water, and it's super pretty. And it's a nice, sweet, perfect little film. Everyone I've recommended it to has liked it. So I really hope that you and others will give it a
yeah.
try. And it is on YouTube with English subtitles. I will put the link to that in the show notes. There's several versions on YouTube, but there is one at least with English subtitles. So keep looking. If you need those, keep looking till you find it. This movie is just a delightful gem, and it's also got a good cast of the Bengali like character actor uncles who are wedding guests, and they're pretty funny.
Okay.
It's like a nice rogues gallery of some of those guys. It's
So
lovely.
is it like a rom-com? Is it a romantic movie? Like,
It
are
is
there any
romantic. I
twists?
would say that it is not it's not, I wouldn't really call it a drama, and I wouldn't really call it a comedy. I guess if
Okay.
it's not flat out a comedy, you kind of have to call it a drama, but I would call it a romance, I think,
Okay.
more than
Yeah.
anything else. There's nothing particularly dramatic.
Okay.
It's very, very gentle. And there's something
Okay.
about that I find very like, I just sort of like lose myself into this film
Yeah.
because this is one of those films you're like, that could actually happen.
Right.
It's not, it doesn't have like the wish fulfillment lifestyle or anything like that. It's just very normal people who do some, it's slightly filmy with the like, oh, we invited the wrong family to the wedding. But if you're walking around and you can't find the house number, like I can see how you would give an invitation card to the wrong person or whatever. So it's um I don't know, it's just a very sweet little film.
From the way you're describing it, it's almost making me think of all of the slice of life 70s Hindi films I love. Like, the Amol Palekar, Vidya Sinha movies,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Rajnikanda and stuff like that, or like
yeah.
Choti Si Baat and stuff like that. It's kind
I
of
think
like
that's
that,
a
where
good
it's like a
comparison.
very
Yeah,
relatable romance.
definitely.
Or
Yeah, a
Vidya Sinha is
relatable
always like
romance.
working in an office in
Right,
like
right.
HR or something.
And I will admit that part of the appeal to this film is that, this is made just a couple years after Opera Sansar, and she does look older, not she still looks very young because she is very young, but there's something about seeing them together again, and you're like, this is the chance that those two never got because she died,
Yeah.
like, so it's
Or the chance they never got in Devi.
the chance they never got in Davy, right? Well, maybe that's one of the reason I like seeing those two together so much over the years, and like, Aranya Din Ratri, and all sorts of things. So so seeing them, and I don't know if this is their only film together that's not Ray or the descendant of Ray in the case of the later version of Aranya Din Ratri, but I should have looked that up. I apologize, but it's just a delightful film, and I hope people will give it a try. And I really do enjoy her with Shashi Kapoor too. Like Agale Lagja is one of my favorites. Amne Samne is kind of a murder mystery one that
Mm,
they're in, and so Shashi, at times you think like, oh my God, is he the killer? And seeing Shashi Kapoor that way is really fun, because he
right.
doesn't usually get to play that kind of role. And then of course Suhana Safar, which is basically it happened one night
Hmm.
again.
Again.
All Kapoors must do it.
Yes.
um, that's another one that I really like. And again, it Pop or Punya is another one from the 70s with them, or early 70s, I think. That movie has a really beautiful Holi song that I feel like does not come up on the big lists of Holi numbers very often, but they
Okay.
have kind of a dream sequence where it's Holi, and they they're decked out in really beautiful traditional clothes and like are playing colors with each other, and it's really, I mean, they're so beautiful together. And I think they not I want to be clear, in all of their films, it's not that they're both like wealthy, well-educated,
Hmm.
as we've talked about, the Shashi Kapoor hero type. It's not that they are always that, but I do think they have the same vibe in some of their
Yeah,
films in a way. It's never like those two. Like I feel like they mesh very well
they
together
do.
somehow. And I don't know if that's really good acting or something they brought from their personal lives or what. But I really like them together. But I like her. I mean, I've seen her a few movies with Uttam Kumar. She's good with him. Like I just think she's quite good. I know many people prefer her Bengali films to her Hindi films, and I don't know if that's language question, if it's the roles she got or was offered in Bengali or more substantial or
Mhm.
something. I like both.
Yeah, same. Have you seen Swati? It's like
No.
not that great a movie. It's okay, but that one also has Sharmila Tagore and Shashi Kapoor, and they're way older. Like I don't know how old they are in that, but to put it in context, in Swati, she plays the mother of Meenakshi Seshadri, who is like a
Oh,
grown woman, and Shashi Kapoor plays the father of a very very young Madhuri Dixit, who had not yet
oh,
made it in the big leagues. Like she looks barely 16 in
wow.
it, so
Yeah,
it's
I
kind of
don't know
like
that movie at all.
you should consider watching it. It's
I
just
should.
it's weird, but also cool to
Huh.
see Sharmila and Shashi as like a way older couple who are not like married to each other, but like they have daughters, and it's just it's interesting. It's not like one of the great films that you're gonna love, but I'm just saying if you ship hashtag Shasha,
I
then you
do.
should consider watching it for that
I don't
reason.
think it's on her Wikipedia filmography, so I will have to go a hunting for it. Um,
Okay.
there's another film of hers I want to talk about that I have
Hmm.
not seen because I can't find it with subtitles and I refuse to watch it without. New Delhi Times.
Oh, so
Everybody,
good.
everybody has that reaction. If you know of this film with English subtitles, please tell me. I will make a donation to your favorite charity in your honor. Like, I've been desperate to watch this movie for 15 years and I can't find it. Like, the director is on Twitter. He has told me it's not out there with subtitles. Like, I want to
Oh
see this film
gosh.
so badly because everyone
We'll,
raves.
I love that movie so much. It is
Mm,
so good. It is
mm,
so good. It's one of the greatest movies ever. If
yeah.
we ever find, we should watch it together and I'll just be your translator.
Just like every 30 seconds, be like, boop, boop,
I'll
boop.
just pause it. Like, the hello, how are you scenes, like we'll ignore those. But anytime like Shashi Kapoor says something really important, I'll be like pause. I'm like, okay, Beth, he said that. And then we'll continue. I will do that for New Delhi Times because it
That
is
is,
such a good movie.
that is
I
true
would say
friendship.
yes, that is also true New Delhi Times fandom.
Mm,
New Delhi Times and I would say Kalyog are two Shashi Kapoor movies that I love. And it kills me
mm.
that not enough people know them, not enough people have seen them. And it's like every time people talk about Shashi Kapoor and they're like, I like him in Diwar. And I'm like, yes, 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 I get it. But have you seen New Delhi Times? Have you seen Kalyug? Have you seen Junoon? And then they say no. And I'm like, and then I become grumpy camel Pitu. But yes, we'll watch it together and I
Okay,
will I will pause it. And
that's
and then
okay.
as a public service, we should upload New Delhi Times on YouTube with subtitles that I
Seriously.
have translated. We'll consider it our gift to the world.
I mean, everyone raves about that film. It always, it's always on lists about films about journalists, of course, but it's
So
on all sorts of
phenomenal.
lists about great films, especially like kind of
Yeah.
great underseen films. And yeah, I'd kind of forgot because every couple of years I'm like, oh yeah, I still haven't found that. So here's my, this dose of it for this time.
Right.
Oh, I love it so much. Pitu, did you know that she's in a film called Tiag?
Does it have a sequel called Is That?
I don't know, but it stars Rajesh Khanna.
Of course it does. We will one day use all of our sofa couch cushion change and we will make Tagore Razat. It will begin with a montage of grumpy camels. I can just see it. This is
Maybe a
how we're going to
ghost.
become famous and a ghost. We'll just add everything we like about Hindi films into it and it will
Right.
make no sense. And people will tell us that we've lost our minds and our movie is really stupid. And I'll defend it by saying they don't know true art.
Hmm. They can argue with us? I don't think so.
No, I'll just be like, you stupid. My movie brilliant. Okay. Is there any other Sharmila movie? I was going to say Shashi Kapoor. Is there any other Sharmila movie that you want to talk about? How do you feel about her legacy? How do you feel about her granddaughter, Sara Ali Khan?
So this is interesting. Like we've been trying to talk about like what is the unique selling point of each of these women that we talk about, especially when they're, overlapping with each other. So we're moving ahead through time. Um, I honestly don't know what her unique selling point is. I really don't. I'm not
Sharmila's?
saying she doesn't have one. I just don't know what it is. And maybe I haven't seen quite enough. Like I've seen more of her films than I've seen Asha Parekh, for example, who I think is
Oh, yeah.
pretty strong contemporary, right? And I do like Asha Parekh. She's a stronger dancer, I think.
Oh, for
But I
sure.
really enjoy her. but I've just seen more of Sharmila's films for whatever reason, probably hero related, as it would turn out based
Yeah.
on what I've seen here. But yeah, I mean, I know she was the censorship board chair at one point, right? So she like was invested kind of in workings of the film industry from that angle. My very brief understanding of that is that she had concerns about how much skin people were showing and stuff. And it's like, but at least she kind of speaks from some experience, I guess, but I'm sure I would not agree with her about that. Yeah, her
Yeah.
legacy, I mean, I'm a big fan of Saif Ali Khan, big fan.
Right.
I have not been impressed by Sarah in what I've seen so far, but I've only seen a couple of things,
Oh,
but I don't,
it's rough.
but like I watched Stupid Coolie #1. That movie's absolute dreck. And
Why did you watch it? Why?
I think I was going to go on Condon and talk about it, or I was trying to catch up with the releases of the year to make a year-end list or something. And I was cat sitting, so I was at my friend's house with their cat and watching it on wherever it was streaming at that time. I just, yeah, I'm not impressed with her, but she hopefully will improve with time. Everyone should get to improve. I
Or she
think,
can leave. Go away.
she could also leave.
Um,
That's fine.
but it's so funny when you mentioned the thing about when Sharmila used to be the head of the censor board. So she got a lot of flack back then. I was definitely one of the people that were like, she sucks, because during the time when she was, so obviously if you're in that position, you have an enormous amount of power. And that year, the national award for best actor went to Saif Ali Khan for, get this, Hum Tum. And you know who else was a
That was
contender?
that year.
Shah
Oh
Rukh.
Lord.
Shah Rukh was a contender for Swades. It made no sense whatsoever. It was like, even if you are not a Shah Rukh Khan fan and you don't think he's a great actor or whatever, which is fine, you're wrong, but it's fine. For Swades, they didn't give him the national award for that, and they gave it to Saif Ali Khan, and they gave it to him for Hum Tum, which is one of the most
That's
silly movies I've
ridiculous.
ever seen.
That's
And so
ridiculous.
everyone was like, this was clearly a case of nepotism, and she just made sure that her son got the national award. And it's also so sad. It's sad for Shah Rukh, who absolutely 100% deserved it for Swades, and also would make so much sense because it's the national award. It's not film
Right.
fairs. The national awards do try to reward films that take like a progressive narrative forward, and you gave it to Hum Tum. And it's
Yeah.
also sad for Saif Ali Khan because it almost shows like she didn't have enough faith in him that he could get it on his own merit, because guess what he did the following year? Omkara.
Right.
It's like, you didn't think your kid could perform well, did you? And that's why you made sure that he got a prize for Hum Tum. But like, he came up with Langda Tyagi the next year. Why did you do that? But it's like, a lot of Shah Rukh Khan fans, me, myself included, when we discuss Swades, we get on our high horse and we start lambasting Sharmila Tagore because we're like, unfair. But I definitely believe in the conspiracy theory where they were like, because what are the chances, right? You're the head of the censor board, film certification. Your kid's movie gets a national award for best actor that year. Come on now.
That's really that is a big strike against her, in my
I
opinion.
know, right?
That's pretty crappy. I mean, there's nepotism and then there's nepotism.
I know that is like quite a big taba of nepotism, I would say. But okay, we'll ignore that for now and just like focus on how we like her movies and how good she was as an actor. Maybe don't ever come back in any kind of like film body thing because you
Yeah,
say
don't be an
problematic things.
administrator.
Don't do that. Just do the movies. That's fine. Hopefully she's coming back and doing more films because she just did Gulmohar after 12 years. So maybe she'll do more. I don't know.
Now you watched that, right?
I did not watch it because
you did
it's
not.
it had very mixed reviews. And I was like, At first I wanted to see it because I do like her very much. And I like Manoj Bajpayee a lot. And I
Yeah.
was like, but then it started getting mixed reviews. And I was like, I mean, my watch list is so long always. It's just never ending.
Yeah.
So I just kind of have to like prioritize and pick and choose. And I was like, if people had said that Gulmohar was like a slam dunk, I would have seen it. But otherwise, I'm not going to go hunting for it.
I would watch it on a plane.
Yeah, I would watch it on a plane as well. I've watched many, many things on planes.
I tried to watch, I've blanked on what this movie was called, but it is related to her because her former daughter-in-law, Amrita Singh, is in it. The film where Tiger Shroff plays like the Flying Jot.
Oh, I've not seen it.
I started to watch that on a plane, and after about 20 minutes, I was like, not even on a plane. I turned it off.
What is the Flying Chat about? Is it about Milka Singh?
He's a superhero,
Oh
like
Lord.
in a
Okay,
blue
never
suit. That's
mind.
what it's called, right? Am I completely crazy?
No, I think there was a movie. Like, I
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
like
yeah. That's
anytime
the
I hear
one.
Tiger Shroff,
Yeah,
I just my eyes glaze over and I
yeah,
just the information never lands in my brain. It just like comes like the wind and it passes. It
that's fair
just
enough.
never enters. So I
Sorry,
don't know.
Melanie. We have a friend on Twitter who loves
Who
Tiger
loves
Shroff.
Tiger Shroff?
She isn't doing a PhD in focusing on Indian cinema, and so she jokes about being the world's foremost Tiger Shroff scholar, but she probably is.
She's probably the world's only Tiger Shroff scholar.
We shall see. That is not what she writes about, by the way, is not Tiger Shroff, but she does tweet about
Okay,
Tiger
never mind.
Shroff, and it's very good.
At first, I was very worried for her PhD. Imagine if you did your PhD on Tiger Shroff.
I mean, I think worse and stranger PhDs have been written than that for sure.
Has she seen our embarrassing crushes episode? You should show that to her.
I should show that to her.
She will relate. She will do a hard relate. Okay. Well, I think that's it, unless there is anything else you want to add.
No.
Oh, there's just one tiny little thing I wanted to add. I always complain about the lack of diversity, and one of my pet peeves is the fact that Indian cinema does, or at least Hindi cinema, does not have a lot of Northeastern representation. One of the biggest Northeastern stars that we have in Bollywood has been Danny Densongpa, who is from the state of Sikkim. Not a lot of actresses. A lot of people think Mala Sinha is Northeastern. She's not. She's actually from Nepal. But Sharmila Tagore is actually half Assamese. So
Yes.
she's Bengali on the Tagore side, and her maternal side is Barua, which is Assamese. So there you have it. Like we have one half Assamese heroine, and I feel like we need more. So would be nice to maybe our next superstar will be a girl from Meghalaya or Tripura or Arunachal Pradesh. That would be lovely.
That'd be cool.
But yeah. So thank you for watching this episode of Filmi Ladies. We hope you had fun. If you have any important Sharmila Tagore opinions you want to share with us, if you want to discuss cat eyes and feather boas and things like that, then just let us know in the comments. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. We have a Twitter account. We have an Instagram account. We used to have a Facebook account, but Beth got us locked out of it. But you're not old and annoying and you don't use Facebook anyway, so it's fine. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Hey.